For decades, Somalia has been defined by crisis, conflict, instability, and dependence. But now, something different is unfolding, far off its coast. A massive drill ship, 228 meters long, capable of drilling deep beneath the ocean floor, has arrived off the coast of Mogadishu. Its name is Bay, and it could mark the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Somalia, but for Türkiye too. I'm Afzal Ahmed and this is Aloud. This show brings you articles made for audio. In this episode, we've adapted the piece, Türkiye's Oil Drilling, a Strategic Inflection Point for Somalia, by Abdiwali Said, published on Tiati Africa English on April the 10th, 2026. On April the 9th, after a 53-day journey across oceans, Türkiye's newest drill ship arrived off the coast of Mogadishu. Its mission? To begin deep-sea oil exploration in waters long believed to hold untapped reserves. This is Türkiye's first offshore drilling operation abroad and Somalia's first promising attempt. But neither Türkiye nor Somalia arrived at this point by chance. Türkiye's relationship with oil stretches back nearly a century. In 1940, the country made its first significant oil discovery, the Rahman field in Batman in southeastern Türkiye. Production began soon after, marking the start of domestic oil extraction. Further discoveries followed in the same region in the 1950s and 60s, including fields like Garzan. But production remained limited. Türkiye never developed large-scale oil independence. By the 2000s, that gap had become strategic. Today, Türkiye produces over 135,000 barrels of oil per day, mostly from onshore fields in the southeast, including Batman, Adıyaman, Diyarbakır, and Şırnak. But it consumes over 1 million barrels per day, meaning the vast majority, about 86% of its oil, is still imported. Natural gas changed the story slightly. In 2020, Türkiye discovered the Sakarya gas field in the Black Sea, one of the largest energy finds in its history. Gas from the Sakarya gas field is now flowing into the national grid, with production steadily increasing. At the same time, Türkiye built something else, a full offshore exploration capability. Starting in 2017, it deployed drill ships like Fatih, Yavuz, Kanuni, Abdulhamid Han, and Yildirim and Çağrıbey, and seismic research vessels like Barbaros Hayreddin Pasha and Oruç Reis, mapping the seabed in detail. Oruç Reis carried out extensive surveys for the Somalia project months earlier. Türkiye's number of drill ships, numbering at 6, places the country fourth in the world in terms of fleet size when combined with seismic vessels. And it is planning to send its ships to carry out further projects in Bulgaria, Libya, and Pakistan. Renewable energy and nuclear energy is another avenue that Türkiye has been leaning on and developing at a steady pace. Currently, Türkiye ranks 5th in Europe and 11th globally in renewable energy capacity. Once its Akkuyu nuclear plant becomes fully operational, it will supply 10% of Türkiye's electricity demand. Together, they are transforming Türkiye from an energy-dependent importer into an emerging energy player, still far from independent, but no longer passive. More than 80 years after its first oil discovery, Türkiye is still chasing energy security. But now it is doing so at sea and increasingly abroad to close the gap. Somalia too has seen this story before. This is not its first attempt to tap into energy resources. Italian and British geologists identified oil seeps during the colonial era, and from the 1950s onwards, major international companies, including Shell and Total, conducted exploratory activities. While hydrocarbons were discovered, these efforts never translated into commercial production. Then came 1991, and the collapse of the central government after civil war broke out. Foreign companies withdrew, and Somalia's energy ambitions were frozen for more than 3 decades. So this moment is not the beginning, but it may be the most consequential attempt yet. At the center of this renewed effort is Kurad 1, located roughly 370 kilometers offshore, one of 3 blocks under the 2024 Somali-Turkish Energy Agreement. If successful, Somalia could become an oil and gas producer within 5 years, transforming its economy from aid dependence to domestic revenue, from vulnerability to leverage. But it isn't about just energy. In 2024, Ethiopia signed a controversial agreement with Somaliland for Red Sea access. Somalia saw it as a threat to its sovereignty. Türkiye responded by deepening ties with Mogadishu through maritime security, naval capacity building, protection of territorial waters, and cooperation in maritime trade and port development. And now energy exploration. In this context, oil has become a geopolitical instrument. But history offers a warning. Oil often has not brought stability, but distortion, corruption, inequality, political tension. Somalia faces real risks: weak institutions, fragmented governance, and the possibility that resource wealth could be captured by elites. So the question is not simply, is there oil? It is, what happens if there is? Can Somalia build the institutions to manage it? Can transparency and accountability hold? Out at sea, Chare Bay's drilling operation will last 288 days, backed by naval support and security personnel, mitigating operational and security risks. For Türkiye, success would confirm its rise as a global energy actor. For Somalia, it could mean something more fundamental, a chance to redefine itself, not as a crisis state, but as a country with resources, relevance, and agency. But none of this is guaranteed, because in the end, this story is not just about oil, it is a story about governance, and whether this moment becomes a turning point or another missed opportunity. That's all for this episode of Aloud, based on the piece Türkiye's Oil Drilling, a Strategic Inflection Point for Somalia by Abdi Wali Said, published on TRT Africa English on April the 10th, 2026. I'm your host Afzal Ahmed. Thanks for listening.